What is up, guys? It is Simba here, and welcome to another league racing video on F1 24. And today it is round 2 of my new league COT for the Chinese Grand Prix. If you haven't seen the season opener, which was in Australia, I highly recommend you go check that one out before you see this one. I think it will be quite an entertaining video for you to go check out and enjoy, and give you some context going into this race. So if you're looking forward to this one and enjoy the league racing content on the channel, make sure you get subscribed for more league racing content. We have been growing the channel slowly, bit by bit, over the last couple of weeks, and I'm really appreciating all the support I'm getting at the moment, and especially on Twitch as well, where we've been getting some more followers on there too, and basically on all the platforms as well. So I am appreciating the support. I'm going to try my best to keep things really consistent with the upload schedule, especially with uni, my third year on the way, as we don't start the lap too well, as we have a bit of a moment before we start the lap. China was a track that I didn't really enjoy on the last game. I was never really that good at it, despite it being leaning towards the controller as the faster of the two between the controller and the wheel. So I wasn't really knowing what to expect going into this race. So we're just going to see what happens. The first lap is looking pretty decent at the moment. We've done a 0.8 first sector as we drift our way through turn 6. I think that's turn 6 if I'm not mistaken. As we go through turns 7 and 8, I think. Yeah, I think I'm right. So this is turn 8. Yeah, there you go. There's a lack of track knowledge for you. Through the double left-hander of turns 9 and 10. And we get through that quite nicely. And the main thing around this track is that you're basically in medium ERS for the majority of the lap. I've seen a lap from a Shizou driver called Elite Risks from his qualifying session in CTC, which is a tournament I'll be making content about. And he essentially he got pole position, and he was using medium ERS throughout the majority of the lap. So that's exactly what we're doing as well. And we've done a pretty solid first lap at the moment as we look to close up the lap. So through the hairpin, decent exit, decent turning, and we just got one corner to go, and it's very easy to get this one wrong as well. Down to 5th, very nicely done, and across the line we go. It's a 30.4, and that puts us on pole position. So I won't be rambling anymore. We're going to actually talk through the lap, as we are now down to P3, but I feel like pole position is in our grasp. Let's try and go to get it. So we start off with going to the right-hand side of the track because there are bumps on the main racing line, as we managed to avoid that. Through turn 1 we go now, down to 3rd gear, making sure we clip the apex through turn 2, and we set up for turn 3. Decent exit, no wheel spin, just a little snap, but we get away with it, and we use the overtake down towards turn number 6. Just after the 100-meter board, down to 3rd gear. We don't drift to the corner, but we do clip the inside curb, which is something you don't want to do. But we are currently 2 tenths up. Through turn 7, flat out in 6th gear. 1 downshift into turn 8, staying nice and tight onto the apex. Down to 4th as you flick the car from the right to prepare for turn 9 and through turn 10. It's a very nice run, and we are 3 tenths up. It's a 50.7 in the middle sector split as we come through the final sector, where we have a little bit of a snap, as this long right-hander is quite winding on this track. We stay to the middle to avoid the bumps once again, as there's bumps on the inside of the corner. And we open DRS to a very long back straight into hot lap, and we prepare for the hairpin. Up to 56 brake bias as we go down the gears into 3rd. Decent hairpin, and we get the nice traction as well. And we've just got one corner to try and close up the lap, but unfortunately we turn in just that little bit too early, and that hurts our entire advantage, and we only improve by just over 300ths of a second, and as a result it is P4. So yeah, the lap was going really well, but we did drop time in the 3rd sector, and the last corner did us absolutely no favours whatsoever. But to be fair, P4 is still a really good position. You know, we improved from Australia when we qualified 5th. Just a 10th and a half off pole, so I really do think we could have got it. But we just got the last corner a little bit wrong. So, P4 it is. I've got a reference point for AEC as well. So let's get into the race and see what we can do from P4. So, here we go then. Time for the start of the Chinese Grand Prix. I have no idea what the strategy is going to be. As you can see, I'm trying to fix it on the screen as I'm talking to some people in my chat with FRT Harvey and Tech Brutal, who also tuned in halfway through, so I do appreciate it. We're going to be starting on the hards. I didn't really know what to expect on the hards, but we're just going to go with that and see what happens. Unfortunately, the cars in front of us are on a softer compound, so it's going to be quite tough to keep up initially, but 5 red lights ahead of us for the Chinese Grand Prix, and the lights are out, and we are on the way in Shanghai for the first time in quite a while, as we make a very good start up to P3. We're going to try and get up to P2, but the Alpine completely lags in front of us.
What in the lag am I seeing?
So that Alpine is lagging about as Damien looks to try and take the lead here.
Okay. Okay, that's happened then.
And as a result, we move up into P2 in the most bizarre way possible. But now the difficulty we're going to have is we are going to struggle quite a lot. As you can see, we have a bit of a moment through turn 12. I think it's turn 12. You can tell I don't really care about this track. I don't know what the corners are, but we had a bit of a moment there. And the hard thing is we're going to be struggling on the hard tyres as the 2 McLarens are on the mediums. As you can see, that is Leon up the inside. And we don't really put up a fight because, you know, he's on the mediums along with his teammate Damien. So they're going to be much quicker at this stage of the race. So it's going to be a really tough task to keep up with them and not get gapped. Because if you start on the hard tyres on this game, for the first few laps, they will feel like crap. So we're going to be struggling quite a lot. You can see we don't have too much battery as we start the second lap. And DRS has been enabled. I believe it was Tech who put in my chat, if I could keep up, I'm basically the GOAT. But unfortunately, we're not going to quite do that. As you can see, they pulled a gap to just under a second by the time we get to the DRS detection point. And I don't think we're going to get DRS. I think it's going to be really close. You can see I'm struggling on the exit through turn 12. Really struggling to put the throttle down. And unfortunately, we didn't get DRS. We barely got it on that occasion. But by the time we get to lap 4, they've completely gapped us now. So the 2 McLarens running away with it. We've got a pretty decent gap to TF10 Giovanni behind us on the medium tyres. EVR Connor is basically our closest contender as he's on the same tyres. But Veloxiter has binned it on the exit at turn 6, and that has brought out a virtual safety car at the end of lap 4. So now we can actually charge up the battery, and hopefully we can actually just use the battery to try and catch up with the 2 McLarens. But we've got the VSC ending at the start of lap 5, and we're going to get a huge moment in this race.
Oh! They've both got drive-thrus. Oh, this is sensational. Cheers, Tech. Might have got ourselves a bit of a lucky break here.
So it's not 1, but 2 McLarens with drive-through penalties. So that means we're going to lead the race as we go off into the grass. As you can see the text on the screen, I was reading my chat at the worst possible time, and we end up taking a weird escapade into the grass. And that means we're not exactly going to have DRS anymore, but it won't really matter that much.
It's fine,
because they've got our drive-through penalty. We were literally half a tenth away from speeding in under the VSC as soon as we got going again. So we've managed to get quite lucky here, and that means we're going to lead the race as both McLarens are going to take the drive-through at the exact same time. So we lead the Chinese Grand Prix.
As Simbrox 1 takes the lead. Beautiful.
And you can hear me cracking out the old shoe as we do inherit the lead from the 2 McLarens. It looked like we were going to be really struggling to keep up with them in the opening stages of the race. But now, what this has done, it's given me a huge boost in confidence. We already had the gap to Giovanni behind us. The gap is currently 1.2 seconds. But as you can see, we're going to skip through the laps here. Because, as you're going to see throughout this stint, we're just going to keep on growing in confidence. And it really did help. This is essentially what made my race. You can see I did a 35.4 on the last lap. You can see the gap is slowly increasing between myself and the cars behind. We do a 35.7 on lap 9. And the confidence just grew and grew and grew. We're being very consistent with the lap times, actually feeling gelled with this circuit, considering I struggled on it so much on the last game. So it's really refreshing to actually be like, you know what, we actually have pace around here. We're really being consistent. The gap is now over 2 seconds to EVR Connor as we have a bit of a moment through the last corner. And at one point, FRT Harvey was in my chat saying that the pace is really cooking. And it really felt like it was. You can see the gap now up to 3 seconds as we are tuning through the laps here. As you can see, Ronald Mulder is up to P2 now, but the gap is 3.5 seconds. And we just kept on putting in solid laps and just maintaining the gap. You can see it's 4 seconds now as we do a 36.0. I think that's the first time, or the second time we dipped outside the 35s. But the pace felt really good on these hard tyres. I remember Harvey on lap 15, he told me to go at least 1 or 2 more laps, as I believe one of the Haas cars pitted, and we've just extended the stint by 2 laps. So Ryan pitted on lap 15, so we're going to be the last car to box for a set of fresh tyres. So we've got a pit stop margin over Giovanni and Ryan. We've put in another solid lap, we put it into hot lap just to push a little bit more with the battery on this in lap as we come through the hairpin to close out lap 17. So we're going to box at the end of lap 17 to put on a set of the medium tyres, and that should get us to the end of the race. The reason why I extended by another 1 or 2 laps is because tyre wear is quite bad around here. So we want to give ourselves...
Right, we're probably going to lose a lot of time to Giovanni, but we'll have much fresher tyres.
a really good chance to get to the end of the race without having to worry about tyres too much. We could just push flat out on this stint and see if we can catch up to the cars in front. We should be able to do that. As you heard me say, we're going to lose a lot of time to Giovanni, and we're going to come out just behind the Haas of Ryan, who pitted 2 laps before us. So we've got a tyre advantage to everyone around us. You can see Mulder's not really a threat. He's 2 seconds behind, and he's got a 3-second penalty. So our focus now is on the Haas just in front of us. And by the time we get to the end of the lap, you can see we've really switched on the medium tyres and we've opened DRS. And we're going to be thinking about passing him very, very soon, because I want to get to Giovanni as quickly as possible. He's another 3 seconds up the road as we put in a purple middle sector on the outlap. So we're absolutely going for it here to start this stint. Ryan gets a decent exit out of the final corner, but we're going to absolutely drain the battery here, move to the inside line. DRS and overtake absolutely cracked. Ryan doesn't do too much of a defensive effort there as we sail right past him. Up into P2 we go in this Chinese Grand Prix, and we're looking to set the fastest lap here. I'm feeling really good. The hard stint gave me a lot of confidence around this track, and we're just exuding it now on the medium stint. We've gone purple in the first 2 sectors. We've cut the gap down to just 1.3 seconds to Giovanni ahead of us as well. So we should be thinking about getting into DRS range in the next 1 or 2 laps, surely at the minimum. So we could very much take the lead back again, as we don't get the best of exits at the end of lap 19, but that won't matter. We absolutely smashed the fastest lap at 32.9, and the gap just 1.1 seconds. The only problem is we've used up a lot of battery, so we're going to try and save the battery before we get past him, so we can try and pull away from the 2 cars around us. So the main thing is Ryan is going to be quite a key part to the end of this race, because he's just going to follow me and just stick behind me. So that's probably his best chance to win the race. But now, on to lap 20. It hasn't taken long to catch up to Giovanni on those older hard tyres, and we've got such a tyre advantage, and it's absolutely ridiculous what the overcut can do on this game. So we're going to just open the DRS here. We're currently in hot lap, but we should turn it back to none. There you go. We're not going to pass him now, because that will give him an easy chance to pass us on the main straight towards turn 1. So we're just going to sit behind Giovanni, almost pushing him on the exit of the corner. We just need to set up this final corner, and we'll breeze through into the lead of this race. We go over the curb a little bit, but that won't prove to be a problem at all, as we're using the overtake, open DRS in the slipstream of the kick Sauber. We move to the inside line, and on the brakes we've got so much more grip, and that is us sweeping into the lead of the Chinese Grand Prix once again, with just over 8 laps to go in this race. So now it's just a case of trying to pull away from the two cars behind us. We're currently side by side as Ryan looks to try and follow us through into P2, and that's going to be crucial for him if he wants to win this race. And by the time we get out of turn 6, you can see Ryan is clearly ahead of Giovanni. Giovanni losing 2 places in one sector, and that is him down to P3. Ryan's up to P2, and that's going to be our closest contender for the race win here today. We're not going to... I was thinking of trying to pull away and pull a gap over Ryan, but unfortunately, that doesn't quite happen. So he's going to be sat behind us for the rest of this race. We just need to keep it consistent, keep it facing the right way, and that will surely lead us to victory here in this race. We're going to cut onto lap 24 with a beautiful transition.
But let's see if he tries to pass us. If he does, then... If he doesn't, he clearly wants to wait for the last lap.
And those are important comms for myself, because it basically means that Ryan is not exactly going... He's not exactly rushing things. He wants to wait for the final lap of the race to make a move for the race win. So at this point, my priority now is not trying to pull away or trying to pull a gap. It's trying to manage the ERS as best I can. As you can see, my theory is going to come true. On the main straight towards turn 1, he just sits behind us. And that is essentially it. And he's going to carry on doing this for the rest of the race. So it's up to us to make sure our battery is as high as we can, so we can deny the chance by the end of lap 28. We're going to cut to lap 27. We've pulled quite a gap on Giovanni. We're 4 seconds ahead of him. It's a 2-horse race for this victory here. And I'm basically showing you guys this part of the lap, because this will tell me everything I need to know. You can see we're coming out of turn 12 onto the main straight. We're using up the battery here because I want to try and give myself the biggest gap possible for the start of the last lap, so he can't do anything going in towards the first corner. And you can see he doesn't really catch us too much on the back straight, which means he is going to be waiting for the last lap. We've used like half of our battery, which isn't ideal, but we can try and save it through parts of this final lap using the overtake. And this is the start of the final lap. We are 1 lap away from winning our first race on F1 24, and we've been knocking on the door a couple of times in other races, like in AEC Bahrain especially, where we might have had a chance. We were definitely within a chance of winning that race, but we couldn't quite make the move happen. Now we're currently defending our position. We've been here for the majority of the stint. You can see the orange icon has popped up on the bottom right hand side of the screen, which means the tyres have hit 60%, and that was mainly on the left front tyre. So yeah, the left front is quite a difficult one to manage. You can see we're using non-ERS through the middle sector. I think we've got about 45% battery, so we're not looking too great at the moment. So we're going to try and just save as much as we can for the back straight, because that's where he's going to make his move.
Yeah, we're about to get cooked on this straight now. Fuck's sake.
And that was me responding to Darren in my Twitch chat saying that I was cooking, but ironically, I'm thinking I'm going to get cooked on this straight, because this is where Ryan has been waiting for the last couple of laps. We're up to 70%. Will it be enough by the time we get to the hairpin? We're moving to the right. We move to the left to try and break the slipstream that the Haas has got. We've moved to the middle of the track. He chooses the inside line. We have to give him the space. Going into the hairpin on the brakes. He's got the inside line, but we just have that little bit more grip that helps us fend him off on the outside line. And now we're going to win our first race on F1 24.
Hey, let's go. Vamos.
Now we can fight.
And there you go. There is our first win on F1 24. We take P1 in the Chinese Grand Prix, and I couldn't be happier. I did not expect to win this race. I wasn't feeling great about this track going into it when I was practicing for it, but it's paid off. The pace on the hards was absolutely brilliant, and the overcut turned out to be the lethal strategy. Going that extra few laps really paid dividends at the end. We just had so much more grip and confidence than the cars around us, and we take our first win on F1 24. Our first league racing win in general in this new league racing season, and I couldn't have done it in a better way. Ironically, around a track I hated on the last game. We win it by just under 2.5 tenths of a second, and I'm very happy to get this result. I was itching a little bit for a win. You know, we've been knocking on the door several times in WR and AEC, and getting a little bit frustrated because it was like, when is that result going to happen? And we managed to get it here. We did miss out on a podium last time out as well, so it feels great to get one and to get maximum points as well. No one came close to our fastest lap, and as a result, just ignore that plonker's face where my gamer tag is. We lead the Drivers' Championship by 4 points to Damien, and we lead the Constructors as well. We're tied with McLaren, but I am going to miss the next race, so that might be a slim chance of me retaining that. But guys, I really hope you enjoyed this one. We finally got our first win. I'm enjoying my driving on this game at the moment, and hopefully it's the first of many big results. So I hope you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for more League Racing content, and as always, I will see all of you in the next one.